Hey, what's up? It's Monday. It's Rumor Innuendo, and I'm Dominic D'Angelo of Ad Free Shows, SCScoops.com, and several other podcasts. But I'm here today, per usual, with Robert Karplus, former WWE writer, W Creative _ish. Dang it, I screwed it all up. Hi, Robert.
All right. Well, this week's already shot. We'll try again next week. Thanks for tuning in, guys. That'll do it for me. No, I welcome everybody. It's an exciting Monday here. We got a hell of a week. This is a great week to be a pro wrestling fan, kids. We've got a stacked Raw tonight. We're going to have a big go-home episode of Dynamite on Wednesday. On Friday, they're in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, so it's going to be a unique episode of SmackDown. And then you've got King and Queen of the Ring on Saturday, Double or Nothing on Sunday. Dude, we are eating well. That's not even a factor tease. No. That's just me saying, like, this is the best it's going to get. We'll say hi to some of the folks in the chat. Christopher Zanto, good morning and welcome to my Monday morning and afternoon rumor. Antonio Santos says, happy Monday. Tony Khan can't ban me from watching Rumor and Innuendo. So I heard that. Good morning. Jake, didn't mean to click that, but I heard Conan on his show said that Tony Khan had prohibited his talent from watching the Royal Rumble at one point. It's Conan, so you got to take it with a grain of salt, roughly the size of Conan. But he's claiming that Tony Khan was very upset that Conan helped Dragon Lee sign with WWE. And I guess Tony Khan, according to a number of witnesses who were there, Conan swears they're witnesses, told his talent that they're not allowed to watch the Rumble. They didn't want him supporting Cody. They didn't want people tuning in and watching WWE. That is a bonkers claim. We will get to that at another point in time, but quite frankly, we got too much stuff to talk about here today to even dive into the crazy world of my good friend, and you can tell by that tone, Conan.
Well, geez, that's pretty wild. I didn't even hear anything about that, so that's news
because it's rumor
and innuendo.
Yay!
We'll get to all that. But we're going to get to SmackDown. We'll talk about what happened on SmackDown here this past Friday to lead everything off. Head scratcher of an episode for me in certain ways, I think, Robert. What do you think?
You're going to have to remind. Friday was like a year ago. So yeah. the one here's from what I remember off the top of my head. Number one, they clarified kind of how I thought the Cody Logan Paul match was going to be set up, which was that this was not going to be title versus title. There seemed to be some ambiguity, which was intentional to create that storyline moment where Logan Paul with his attorney wearing a suit and tie, me as an attorney wearing my creative-ish t-shirt, available now at prowrestlingtees.com. And they stipulated that only the Universal title will be defended, which makes a hell of a lot of sense because you don't want to take the U.S. title off of Logan Paul. You don't want to put the world title or the Universal title on Logan Paul. You needed an elegant solution. This was the elegant solution. It makes Logan Paul a heel, which is, that's obviously what you want to have it anyway. But when it is champion versus champion, it's like guys want to see a double champ situation. By taking this away from the audience, it gives you yet another reason to hate the always hateable Logan Paul.
See, I think it kind of more falls on the shoulders of people get upset about creative rather than the heel itself, I think, when it comes to these kind of circumstances, because they kind of painted themselves in a corner with this, because if you didn't want him to drop the title, you can't have it title versus title. So there you go. I don't know, teasing it throughout the week and then acting like it was going to happen and then be like, no, it's not going to happen. Like even Nick Aldis was like, hey, no, the rules. This is what's going on. And then Cody sends him to the back and then Cody ends up signing the contract. That's what was a head scratcher for me in a lot of ways. Was that aspect of the show where it came to that, because I just wouldn't have teased it. I wouldn't even teased it because it's just a letdown. I mean, and having Logan Paul do it, and I thought the segment itself was great. Like I think Logan Paul is awesome. Like, and how he handles himself in the ring as a heel, everything like that. He's so top notch when it comes to a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I was not a fan of how this was kind of executed, I think.
Well, they're sort of hamstrung a little bit because there's only so many people you can put in the ring to go up against Cody right now.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't going to do an AJ Styles rematch because you have to sell to the Saudi officials that you're getting a major marquee attraction, but you don't want to really give them a major marquee attraction that can sell a lot of tickets. So you had to put Logan Paul in there because he's a big flashy name that we as wrestling fans know he's not going to win the Universal title, but to the Saudi officials, to the Saudi government, you can really plug this as you're getting a major mainstream celebrity taking on the Universal Champion. Look at all the impressions this guy is getting. Look at the audience he's bringing to you. That's going to appease them. But you needed a way to explain why he's not defending his U.S. title. So it was a bit of a head scratcher, but sometimes you kind of have to step back, see where the story is going, and hope that they have a clear path forward. And in this Paul Triple H Levesque era, in the PLE, the Paul Levesque era, somebody on here once coined it, the decisions they're making are built for long term. So I do like that. I'm a little surprised at some of the outcomes of the King and Queen of the Ring matches. I think I kind of gave what my predictions were going to be last week. It doesn't mean that I'm right, they're wrong, or vice versa. I was a little surprised we're going to get Tama Tonga versus Randy Orton as one of those matches because we're getting this Jey Uso Gunther match tonight on Raw, which we'll get to in a moment. But either outcome, I would not, if I were them, kind of give away any of these matches. You're not going to do Gunther versus Tama Tonga, obviously.
Yeah.
But Gunther versus Orton feels like a much bigger match than a King of the Ring finals. I feel like Tama Tonga versus Jey Uso is so steeped in bloodline storytelling. I don't know how I necessarily feel about that being part of the King of the Ring finals. I still maintain the best match would have been LA Knight versus Gunther.
See, I'm on the opposite side. I think having Orton versus Gunther would be great and make the King of the Ring tournament feel like more with a big star like Orton up against Gunther, and especially if Gunther will win. I think that adds to it. And then on top of it, Tama Tonga is a new soldier in the quote-unquote new bloodline. So him getting in the mix with the Jey Uso and one of them coming out as a King of the Ring, that's another storytelling element you can add into the bloodline stuff. So I kind of like it a lot, the either outcome with those two matches. And it gets me, I think it just makes it feel like a big time deal. King of the Ring, that whole tournament, the stakes are higher now. So, but
look, if it's Gunther or it's Jey Uso or it's Randy Orton, King of the Ring feels very, very impressive. Tama Tonga, there is the story you can tell. There used to be, King Haku.
Yes.
Many, many years ago.
Good point. Yeah, I didn't even think of
that. But I feel like he's going to look a little goofy wearing the crown.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But it's also a look with, Solo Sikoa running the bloodline. Look at the success that they're having. So I see where you can get from any of these a solution, a successful outcome. It's just for me personally, if I were holding the book, I would have rather seen Gunther versus LA Knight because that's the kind of match that is a fake marquee match that sounds like it's a big name match, but you can have Gunther win cleanly. And I don't see any of these matches as a King of the Ring final ending with a definitive clean finish.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I could see maybe if it was Uso and Tama Tonga that Uso gets the win off for him clean, but I don't know. If you have Gunther versus Orton, I don't think you could have that clean. You could make that clean too. You gotta have Gunther beat him clean, I think.
You could have Gunther beat Orton, but Orton just came back a couple months ago. He was already unsuccessful at Rumble. His team already lost in Lyon. I don't know how many times you really want to beat Randy right now clean. I think Jey Uso, you have the Drew McIntyre story floating around there that Jey Uso was not supposed to be part of the tournament. He was a replacement for Drew within storyline. So the idea that Jey Uso would win the King of the Ring would infuriate Drew. Maybe Drew interferes tonight and costs him the match. I said we weren't going to do the Raw preview yet, and somehow here we are. I'll pull back. There was other stuff on SmackDown worth chatting about on the women's side. The Tiffany Stratton Bianca Belair match, very good showing, I think, for Tiffany Stratton. I think she showed she can hang with Bianca Belair. I think that's a big time match going forward. On the other side, Nia Jax and Jade. We said they were going to figure out a way to book it. They figured out a way to book it. Nia Jax cutting a promo on Jade's daughter, Jade hitting her with a chair. It's not the best finish, but it was a finish. It was a way to get Jade out of the tournament without really causing any kind of long-term damage. And now you're faced with what your finals are going to be. We've got Io Sky and Lyra Valkyria. I'll spare you having to pronounce her name.
Thank you.
On Raw tonight. And then Nia and Bianca on SmackDown. A couple of different paths I think you can go here, Dom.
Yeah, definitely. I would be interesting. I'd like to see Bianca Belair in the finals, but it does make sense too if you're going to have Io Sky take on Nia Jax for heel versus babyface, or turning babyface, it seems. But then you can also kind of do the rematch with Bianca and Io Sky from Puerto Rico, Backlash Puerto Rico, and that's pretty cool too. So yeah, good option.
The challenge is the unfortunate thing is the clear winner out of these four women, or who should be, as much as I don't like to think that this is the case, is Nia Jax, just because you need a strong heel for Bayley to go up against. And if there's one thing SmackDown does not seem to have right now, it is a singular, clear heel number one contender. You've just done Tiffany Stratton. If she didn't win the Queen of the Ring, I can't see her going after it again. You've then got this Nia Jax with a crown, with all that motivation and heat behind her. I can see where you would go with that, but in order for her to win, you kind of need to put her up against Lyra. So then you're beating Io on SmackDown. I don't know. Again, this is why they're mapping this thing out, but it's fun because there's so many different directions that this can go to tell unique storytelling and tell unique storylines. It's not just thrown out there, thrown to the wolves. I like that it's the kind of planning that you want to see. You want to plan for success. And guys, let us help you plan for success, because this episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex. Guys, remember the days when you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Visit BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Be the king of your ring, and by ring, I mean bed, by utilizing our friends at Blue Chew, because Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it. And we've got a special deal for our viewers, our listeners, our rumor and innuendoans. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code RUMOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code RUMOR, to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode of Rumor and Innuendo.
You're my boy, Blue.
That was disturbing. Please never do that again.
Hey, real quick before we touch upon Raw, wanted to get your thoughts too on Tama Tonga and him making noises. What do you think about that aspect?
Him making noises. I need clarification on
that segment where he's like,
"Oh yeah, fourth." He's intense. He's grunting. He's fired up. What's your issue?
I don't know. It feels a little weird to me. It felt out of place. I love Tama Tonga, but I was like, I don't know about that. Maybe get rid of that.
All right. Well, I tell you what. You feel free to walk up to him.
I won't tell him.
Find Tama Tonga with Tongaloa and Solo Sikoa and say, hey guys, knock off the noises. Maybe be a little bit more professional.
just a little. I don't know. Just threw me off. Maybe I'd say it. And
maybe I didn't pay attention enough that it really bugged me.
Like,
and also it was, a couple of days ago I watched it. I don't remember. I don't remember that. What I do know, number of people on the chat right now going wild for your guns here, dude. It's a little uncomfortable, a little intimidated. The 24-inch pythons that are going on here.
They're probably like 12, maybe. Oh.
Did you take a Blue Chew and it went to the wrong part of your body?
I don't know.
I don't know what I think's going on there, but Raw tonight. Let's get this show back. It's a Monday. You already mispronounced the name of my Twitter account. Like we were already in trouble.
Yeah, it's off. And
here we are.
Here already. Yeah, let's talk about Raw. King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring, going down. Matches scheduled for tonight are Gunther taking on. Oh my God, why am I blanking here? Gunther taking on
Jey Uso in a match that feels like this could headline a PLE.
Yeah,
this could absolutely. Conceivably, when Gunther wins the title, when he is World Heavyweight Champion, I feel like a Gunther Jey Uso match could headline a SummerSlam, could headline a Survivor Series, and nobody would bat an eyelash. So it'll be really interesting to see what they're doing here. I don't love giving it away on free TV like this, but here's where we are. Lyra and Io. Io has been the star of this tournament. Every match that she's had has looked incredible. Lyra's fine. I think she's very good. I think Io will get a very interesting match out of her, and this will most likely tie in a little bit to what's going on with Becky and Liv, because they've kind of married Becky and Lyra together on TV.
Yeah.
So this is a good way to elevate both of those stories at once. There's another match I think you have listed on here as well, Dom.
Yes, Sami Zayn taking on Chad Gable. So that's kind of unexpected to happen already.
Well, they're doing a triple threat, I believe, at King and Queen of the Ring. So maybe this is to set that up, tell a little story there, which is, I'm not a huge fan of watching guys wrestle before they're about to wrestle. It feels like it's an eliminator kind of situation. You know how I feel about those sort of matches. But we're talking about that later.
It's on. There's on the rundown. If we get to it, it's going to be a Billy in the CW situation today.
Let's get to it now. What's going on with an eliminator?
Well, so Double or Nothing, they announced.
Oh, this is AEW. I thought this was WWE was doing an eliminator.
No, it's an AEW Double or Nothing thing. So we can get to it if we get to it. We got a whole week, Robert. Here,
I love the indifference. Like this is where we're at with AEW, guys. That I mean, again, the ratings last week in the 600s. Like it's just, I guess we'll get to it. It seems like people watched Collision and they really enjoyed it. It seems like it's a fine program. They're putting on some stuff that people like, but the big stuff just doesn't seem to be connecting with a broader audience. Something that I thought was really funny. Plug for our ad-free shows, brethren. Even though we are not on ad-free shows today on the YouTube because of that damn Jeff Jarrett, but we're not talking about Double J. We're talking about good old JR on Jim Ross's podcast this past week with Conrad. They talked about Judgment Day 09, and Jim Ross, not really listening to what he was actually saying. Conrad was like, well, I think the most important barometer used to be live event tickets. What do you think? And Jim Ross like, yes, that is still the most important way to gauge the success of a company. So clearly JR has not been looking out at the stands at some of those AEW TV tapings. Probably should have revised his answer. That's just me.
He's forthright though. He on his podcast and on commentary. I always appreciated Jim was like the checks.
This version of Jim Ross on commentary is like Grandpa got into the sauce. You never know what he's going to say. Like sometimes he forgets because he does so many podcasts and so few commentary things. He forgets that he's not doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And he'll just start burying guys and burying moves and burying stories, and then realize, I'm on TV. I gotta pull the nose up here, folks. Right. We gotta fix it. By the way, Jim Ross's new book is out now. JRBook50.com. That was an unexpected plug, but that's a little make good for us taking shots at him. But pivoting back to the WWE world, there's some news with Brian Gewirtz, as Bruce will call him.
Fellow Knicks fan, Brian Gewirtz.
No.
Well, let me say real quick, I got this hat this past week because I'm really appreciating the Knicks season. And when I had it for the first game, I had it for they lost. They're out of the playoffs. So I might be the bad news here. I wore the same thing happened with the Jets this season with Aaron Rodgers. I got the jersey and boom, ruptured Achilles. So I might be the trouble for New York. But yes, Brian Gewirtz, he happened to talk about Cody Rhodes and the WrestleMania build for it on The Masked Wrestler. He thinks he said one thing that I'm sorry, this is the wrong quote. He talks about what he thought that Cody did not express very well. He just wore his emotions on his sleeve, says he appreciates that about Cody. But it was almost like it was supposed to be more uplifting of him passing the torch over to The Rock to do it at WrestleMania. He just said, just look at his expression. By the way, someone else, even when the team wins, looks forlorn and upset and despondent. Julius Randle, he made another Knicks reference. That I don't think help matters. It might not have changed or affected anything. Certainly on paper, I don't blame Cody for that. He's real and one of the realest people I've ever met. And so, what did you get to check those quotes out there, Robert? Have you?
I can't make heads or tails of this quote.
Huh?
I can't make heads or tails of this quote.
Yeah.
What is he trying to convey here?
That Cody was supposed to be more uplifting, like a rah-rah kind of go get him, Rock, that kind of thing, instead of, hey, hug. I'm not very happy about this. And he even made reference that it looks like somebody shot his dog in the face.
Yeah.
Said.
I mean, no South Dakota governors were harmed in this instance, but look, there was no way even Cody and The Rock were going to sell this to an audience because the booking of it made absolutely no sense. This idea that I've won the Royal Rumble, I've just spent the last year climbing back up this mountain to go finish this story, the only thing that's important to me. But, oh, wait, here comes The Rock. Hey, buddy. Go, you do this instead of me. Have fun, pal. My life's mission, what I'm doing, not only for me, but for my dad's legacy. So not important. Happy you're here. Sorry about Black Adam. Why don't you go face Roman Reigns? Like, come on. This feels, by the way, like Brian's working everybody to further this story, to get us to Rock and Cody at Mania next year. Cody had a quote as well for Unbusted Open, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He had a quote too, kind of revealed when he heard the news. One thing that might be revealed in the documentary, I think it's just a story about him finishing the story at WrestleMania. Might be put things in a different perspective for people as I find out about the possibility of The Rock versus Roman Reigns in the day of the Royal Rumble. And I had to leave that room head up and make sure no one knew what could possibly happen. Probably one of the most difficult days I've ever had in the wrestling business. But also, how could you complain when you're winning the Royal Rumble? When you're pointing at that sign and over 20,000 people in Tampa, it was such a high, such a low. So, yeah, getting that news dropped on you and being like, yeah, I'm going to win, but what's exactly going to happen in my regards to me finishing the story? So, yeah, it would kind of sour you a little bit if you had these expectations in mind. And he did handle it fine, but it was a kind of like, okay, this does feel out of place. The Rock trying to take over and all that stuff. So
here's what I like. We know that there's this documentary coming out about Mania.
Yeah.
And they've delayed it, and they're blaming, the Cody camp is blaming it on Brian and The Rock, and Brian and The Rock are blaming it on WWE, which is super fun because we saw with the Bray Wyatt documentary, they use that to advance a storyline, this idea that there's going to be Uncle Howdy in his new group. We're now advancing the Rock Cody story using this documentary. It's not just a documentary that's being put out there. You're weaponizing it and you're advancing storytelling. I'm a big fan of this. As I said before, guys, like we're eating good. And speaking
I'm
eating good, I want to talk to you about our friends at Factor. Eat stress-free this spring. I'm saying spring, even though it is 90-something degrees out here, right? It was 102 degrees yesterday. It was boiling hot. But I'm okay with that because, guys, I had Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals sitting in my fridge. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. Also discover more than 60 add-ons every week, like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long. What are you waiting for? Get started today and fuel up for your springtime goals. Guys, beach season is right around the corner. I actually booked my vacation for July. I want to make sure that I'm looking as good as possible, and Factor is going to help me out. And more importantly, because it is 1,000 degrees out right now, when it's time for my lunch, I don't have to go run out and pick up anything. I got it sitting in the fridge. I am going to be eating like a king. These are fast premium meals without the need for cooking. So head on over to factormeals.com/rumor50 and use code rumor50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box. That's code rumor50 at factormeals.com/rumor50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. It's totally worth it, Dumb. What's totally worth it is our next story, which is
the Eliminator match that I was so excited about. At Double or Nothing, we got Jon Moxley taking on Takeshita. Did I say it right?
Not even remotely close. Konosuke Takeshita.
Gee whiz. Takeshita. Jon Moxley taking on Takeshita in an Eliminator title match for the New Japan Championship, IWGP. Robert, I cannot stand Eliminator matches. It makes zero sense. It's so counterproductive. It just, and to have it on Double or Nothing, why not just make it the New Japan title match and have it go down there? I don't know. What do you think about that, Robert?
I don't understand anything to do with the Eliminator. I also don't understand why the AEW Eliminator concept applies to New Japan. I don't think New Japan does these sorts of matches. I could be wrong. I'm not a regular New Japan viewer, but it seems like you're taking the dumbest stipulation that AEW has, and you're now forcing it onto the IWGP title, which is not governed by the AEW governing board, which I'm pretty sure is just Tony Khan and that bird that drinks water. Like the little...
Oh,
the drinking bird.
Yeah, the drinking bird.
When in doubt, I'm just going with the Simpsons reference, but I'm sure it'll be a very good match. Don't understand the point of it, unless the idea is they want Takeshita to beat Moxley without Moxley having to lose the title.
Which is
in which case, don't book the match.
Yeah, just don't book the match. It's so dumb. Yeah, I don't like it. It makes that match even just feel lesser than just simply because of that, I think. As far as our final topic for the day, I have Clash at the Castle. Yeah, this was reported in the Observer this past Friday. Was that the plan is to have Drew McIntyre take on Damian Priest? We were talking about the possibilities. Would Punk be healthy? Would he not be healthy? Would they put Drew in that title match? It looks like they are, according to Meltzer. What do you think of that being the thing? And does that make Damian Priest seem more like a transitional champion if that were to be the case here?
Because he is a transitional champion, but that's okay. No, what's going to happen here is they've been teasing Priest as sort of a little bit more of a tweener than a full-on heel. I think his promo last week was very babyface for him going up against Drew. The crowd, there's going to be a large portion of the crowd that's going to cheer Drew no matter what. There's going to be a portion of the crowd that may cheer Damian Priest. You'll get a lively audience. They'll be animated no matter what. And CM Punk will probably play a factor in whatever this finish is. Whether this is helping Drew win the title because Punk knows he's going to face him and take it off of him, or he's going to, tie Drew's shoelaces together and watch him fall over and then laugh. So either way, it's a strong match to advertise a Clash at the Castle. It's a way to put Drew back in the main event. I would say have Tyson Fury sit front row again, but after this past weekend, Tyson may need a little time to himself.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little cooling off period, so to speak. Do you think you could knock out Tyson Fury, Robert?
Do I think who could knock out Tyson Fury?
You.
Not a chance in hell. No.
Okay.
Even though I've worked in boxing, I've learned I throw a terrible punch compared to actual boxers. But the best 1-2 punch in the business is the host and production skills, Mr. Dominic D'Angelo. Dom, you have a litany of podcasts out there. Where else can the fine folks find you?
Yes, today, 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you'll see the new episode of Rob Van Dam, One of a Kind with Rob Van Dam, and it's our 1-year anniversary. So we cover, it's our longest episode to date. Tune in, go to rvdtv.com. Lots of fun stories. He has a great story about Kevin Sullivan, who we hope is doing well, and really great story about him. But it's such a fun episode. We talk about dealing with depression, we cover a whole litany of topics on that.
Depression. Wow, this is First of all, I love Kevin Sullivan. I loved working with him. He's a blast. He's such a great cranky old. Like we was talking about lobster fishing, and he was wearing a Boston jersey. Like it was every Kevin Sullivan stereotype you wanted all together. He's the best.
He's great.
Love Kevin Sullivan.
Hope he's doing well.
I feel like Rob talking about depression, like he's the most laid back, happy dude possible. So now I'm kind of curious what's going on there. Well, don't spoil it.
I won't. No, but I will say we did a previous episode where he went really in depth on it and his own depression. Like he talked about it. He opened up. I'm trying to think. That was couple months ago. We talked about that. It's a really good episode, and just it's very emotional too. So check that out too. But check out this new episode. It's a great episode. Really happy to have been able to do it for a year with him. So go to there. 4horsemanetwork.com. Tomorrow will be Straight Talk with the Boss, Greg Gagne, Magnum TA. We're going to be talking about shoot fights. So it's a lot of fun. Be sure to check that out. Robert, you got Wrestle Roast. Not only we have 3 episodes in total with the Patreon included. It was a big week for you guys.
It's a big week at Wrestle. Yes, there was a 2-parter that we dropped last week. One was myself and comedian Dan St. Germain talking about Raw and comedy, and then the main show, which is also up on the feed, was myself, Mike Lawrence, and Scott Chaplin talking about the roast of Tom Brady, which they helped participate in, as well as Dynamite and AEW, and just all the great things about wrestling. It's worth checking out. It is wherever you get your audio podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, and the like. Same place you can get the audio version of Rumor and Innuendo, but in video format. We are here every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern, streaming on the WWE Creative _ish X account, the Dominic D'Angelo X account, the SE Scoops X account, the Working Stiff X account, the Podcast Heat X account. Podcast Heat is who makes this show possible. The SE Scoops X account, as well as on YouTube, on the Working Stiff YouTube page, the Rumor and Innuendo YouTube page, and Tuesday through Friday, the ad-free shows YouTube page. Take that, Jeff Jarrett, someone who's no longer on my anger list. Blue Meanie.
Oh, yes.
We're now officially Facebook friends. Love Meanie. Was just giving him a hard time. He's a great guy, and there's still time to contribute to his honeymoon fund, which you can go check out on his Facebook page. We got. I'll leave it on this quote here from the wrestling old head who says, "Dom and Robert, you two are the tag team champions of podcasts. You two need an hour. We don't got an hour. We got 30 minutes. We somehow went even 4 minutes over. So on behalf of the Knicks cursing Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpelis. Best of luck in your future endeavor."
Love you, Tama Tonga. Love you.